I never had a goal of what I was going to do. I just knew I was going to be the best. And to be the best, you have to have vision, you have to have courage, and you have to have a little intestinal fortitude. People ask me, Mrs. Rose, what keeps you going? And I can promise you, without a shadow of a doubt, what keeps me going is watching that foal take its first breath and then go on to become a champion.
Our ranch is comprised of 663 acres. We don't raise any feed. We use it all for horses. At maximum, I probably own 300 horses, give or take a few. But during breeding season, we sometimes have 500 horses or more on the ranch. People ask me all the time, how do you take care of so many horses and how do you take care of such a big place? First of all, I have wonderful employees. And I have to give those employees a lot of responsibility. I have a very excellent office manager. I have a man that takes care of the stallion, that takes care of the stallion barn. I have a complete staff in the breeding barn, and I have a complete staff in every barn. So they don't have to go from barn to do their work. One thing that's really unique about this ranch is all our employees really care about their jobs. They care about the horses. They care about what happens to the horses. They're just as proud as I am when the horses do well. They're as sad as I am when we have problems. And they're very, very loyal. We're like a family here. People always ask me this question. Carol, of all the horses you've ever had, what is your favorite? And of course, there's only one answer. My answer is Shining Spark. Shining Spark is a very easy subject for me to talk about. He is sired by Genuine Doc and out of the great mare Diamond Sparkle. I bred Diamond Sparkle to Genuine Doc in 1988. Shining Spark was the result in 1989. I've had so many great horses, but I don't know what there's a special bond that I have with Shining Spark because he is such a phenomenal horse and has such a phenomenal mind. When we started him in probably December of his yearling year, Brent Losky started him. Brent was working for me at the time, and he started him, and he was in the round pen, and he told me I had to come look, and he just rode him around, and when he stopped riding, this horse just had a phenomenal stop from the very, very first ride.
Shining Spark started his show career at the NRHA Futurity with Bob Loomis and placed fifth. Then Tim McQuay took the reins in his 4-year-old year. With Tim McQuay, Shining Spark's first major show was the AQHA World Show in November of 1993.
And Mike, this is the kind of style of reining horse that you say. Yeah, this is kind of my kind of horse, Jeff, and Tim kind of gives him a clinic in the reining here. You watch everything here. Watch his size, his difference of speed transitions into circle. Watch this horse change leads, and watch how happy he's doing it. Everything he does because he likes to do it, but he also will spin a hole in the ground. He'll do everything with pluses. A 4-year-old Palomino stallion, Mike. Great bloodline. You really expect this horse to score big. This horse is just kind of a rare individual, Jeff. If you notice, he just lets Tim guide him everywhere, and that's the name of the reining class. Not taking anything away from Boomernick, but Shining Spark and Tim McQuay at 227.5 were the world champions in junior reining.
There was a horse marked at 231 at the Lazy E, and Tim hadn't run yet. And he called me out of the stands, and he said, "Do you want me to run Shining Spark, or do you want me to save him for the Derby?" The Derby at that time was in June, and this was March. And I said, "Tim, I can breed a lot of mares between now and the Derby." He said, "Good enough." He ran for it and marked at 230.5, and he was reserve champion, which was wonderful. During the NRHA Derby in June, Tim and Shining Spark were victorious in their quest to be champion. He's just good-minded no matter what you do with him. And he passes that trait on to his children. When I first started running a breeding farm, and I was pretty inexperienced about percentages and statistics, which I still don't talk much about numbers, people would call and they'd ask me if the stallion I had was a better broodmare sire or a better stallion sire. I didn't know what they were talking about because I thought, well, he has lots of great sons.
Shiner's Lena Doc, an AQHA World Champion sire with lifetime earnings of over $91,000. A Shiner named Sue, 2010 AQHA World Champion with over $145,000 in NRHA and NRCHA earnings.
Shining Spark has lots of great sons, but the primary thing he has are his great daughters.
Little Miss Shiny Checks, 2010 AQHA Reserve World Champion Senior Working Cow Horse, NRCHA Open Bridle World Champion with over $108,000 in earnings. Shine Smartly, 2010 AQHA World Champion Senior Working Cow Horse, NRCHA Derby Open Bridle Spectacular Champion, and NSHA World's Richest Stock Horse Reserve Champion with over $129,000 in earnings. Miss Rayo Shine, with over $159,000 in earnings, a top horse at the NRHA Open Derby and NRHA Open Futurity. Spinning Sparks, with over $80,000 in NRHA, NRCHA, and NCHA earnings. Shiny Sushi, 2011 Saddle in the Saddle Open Bridle Champion and Open Two-Rein Reserve Champion, NRCHA Open Stakes Reserve Champion with over $45,000 in earnings. Shiny Little Miss, 2008 NRCHA Open Futurity Reserve Champion and earner of over $89,000.
In 2008, I was so fortunate to be the breeder of the NRHA Futurity Open Champion, Shiny and Sassy. That's got to be every breeder's dream, to win the reigning Futurity. And watching it, it's almost surreal, because you watch it happen, you scream and yell and root for your horse and get the score from Keith Bradley. And then she was draw 14, and then we had to wait for at least 12 more scores. And you sit there knowing each horse is going to score more, but when it doesn't happen, you just start counting them down and realize, okay, now we're going to be at least third, now we're going to be second, and gosh, now we're first. And it's just surreal to know all that's happening. But probably more exciting than that is to know that Shiny and Sassy, that I own, I bred her, raised her, and I own her sire and her grandsire and her grandsire's mother, and did own her sire's mother, and it's just be totally homebred like that. It was a moment in time. And that year was even more special because 47% of the entries in the finals were either sired by Shiner or out of his daughters.
And out of his daughters, there were 8 finalists just out of his daughters alone, and everyone was out of a different daughter, and most of those daughters are producers. National Ring Cow Horse Sample Bit Open Champion was a granddaughter of Shining Spark on the maternal side. In fact, her mother, I sold her mother when she was 2 weeks old. She was by Shining Spark out of a daughter of Doc's Oaks named Oaks Little Diamond. It makes us really proud to have so many great producing daughters, especially the ones that came out here from Carol Rose Quarter Horses. So many of his daughters have been phenomenal producers and continue to be so. Shining Spark is currently the leading broodmare sire in the National Reining Horse Association and the National Reining Cow Horse Association. The Shining Spark mares are very popular and in great demand at the moment, and there's a reason for this. At 2 of the major NRHA events in 2011, the Shining Spark get, meaning his own sons and daughters, and get from his produce from his daughters, have dominated the finals in both the NRBC and the NRHA Derby. There are so many Shining Spark offspring and get in those 2 events. It was so exciting to watch, it was hard for me to decide who to root for. Shine Chick Shine by Smart Chickalina out of a Shiner mare won the Open after a runoff, and it was so exciting to watch him go twice. To watch Shiner named Sue and the 2 other reserve champions, co-reserve champions, Shiner named Sue again, the intermediate Open Derby champion, scoring 226.5. It was like more than a dream come true for a breeder and an owner.
Shining Spark is out of an NRHA Hall of Famer and AQHA Super Horse by an AQHA Senior Cutting Reserve World Champion. Renowned horsewoman Carol Rose says from the moment she saw this flashy Palomino colt, she knew her little homebred was a standout. Once Brent Losky got him started as a 2-year-old, Carol could see Shiner had the brains and the ability to go along with his good looks. Under the steady hand of NRHA Hall of Fame inductee and trainer Bob Loomis, Shining Spark placed 6th at the 1992 NRHA Open Futurity and tied for the reserve championship at the Lazy E Classic. Loomis calls Shiner one of the 2 greatest-minded horses he ever rode. In '93, under another NRHA Hall of Famer, Tim McQuay, Shiner won the AQHA Junior Reigning World Championship and then the 1994 NRHA Open Derby. Tim calls Shining Spark a major player in his becoming the NRHA's leading rider at that time and says horses like Shiner don't come around very often. By Genuine Doc out of NRHA Hall of Famer Diamond Sparkle, both owned by Carol Rose, Shining Spark is the NRHA's youngest $3 million sire and the only $3 million sire in the National Reined Cowhorse Association. His foals have earned a total of more than $8.4 million and 33,150 AQHA points. After the success of his 3- and 4-year-old season, Shining Spark was diagnosed with the upper airway disease chondritis. It forced him into retirement and limited the number of mares he could breed. But what he lost in quantity, Shining Spark made up for in quality, siring such NRHA standouts as Sailing Spark, Jack's Electric Spark, Just Gotta Shine, Miss Rayo Shine, A Shiner Named Sue, and 2008 NRHA Futurity Open champion Shining and Sassy, ridden by Tim McQuay and owned by Carol Rose. But Shiner is not finished yet. A full sibling of A Shiner Named Sue is expected next spring, and Carol Rose says they're thrilled about the future. But Shining Spark has already made enough reining history to earn his place in the NRHA Hall of Fame.
The first time Shining Spark had been ridden in 11 years, after I rode him to the track, I asked Jay if he would like to stop him once. And he said, "Oh, I don't think that would be possible. He hasn't been ridden in so long." And I said, "He won't care. He loves it." Jay got on him, and he was just thrilled to even be on him. And he loped 2 circles, and he went down to the east end of the track and started west. And I can tell you that it was a 80 stop as far as I'm concerned. And Jay was just blown away. The smile on his face was, now I understand why these great horses do this. People ask me lots of questions, and they always ask me, what are you going to do when Shining Spark is too old to breed anymore? What son are you going to go with? And you know, I never have an answer for that question because I haven't really known until now. I'm so fortunate to have raised a full brother to Shiner's Lena Doc, and his name is A Shiner Named Sue. When he was born, I loved him, and he was just cool looking, and he was pretty Western looking. And when he was born, I decided to name him A Shiner Named Sue, spelled S-I-O-U-X. And I had a lot of friendly criticism from my staff. What do you want to name him that for? And I said, that's what I'm going to name him. I'm taking the 5th, and I'm naming him that, and nobody's talking me out of it. We watched him grow up, and always knew which one was Sue. And when he came to the barn to be ridden, they asked me where I wanted to put Seox. And I said, who? And they said, Seox. And I didn't know what they were talking about. And somebody told me they were talking about Sue. And it's always been a joke, so I kind of call him Seox once in a while.
Shiner Named Sue, from the first time I rode him in October. I knew he was a very, very special horse. And you hear a lot of guys say that, but he was special the whole time. And when I decided to come work for Carol, he was part of the package, thank goodness. It was an interesting start with him because he'd been focused a little bit on the reining, a little bit on the cow, but a little bit more on the reining. When I said, okay, we're going to the horse, we focused totally on the cow horse for 7 months and went all the way through the snaffle bit futurity. And I don't think there was one bad day there, but I don't think there was any others. And I think it was me that bad day. He's been special. Every day I get on him. I don't care what day you get on him. He's right, and he's on. He can do both events, not a problem. You don't have to adjust him. You don't have to do anything. You just go show. And Reno really opened my eyes to how nice a horse he was. He is so animated at everything he does. It doesn't matter what, if he's walking, he's animated. And when he comes into the arena, you just want to judge him. I mean, I've watched the videos, and you just want to mark him. He's just one of those kind of special horses. And look at me, I'm showing right now. Everybody stop what they're doing. And that's Shiner Named Sue.
I am so lucky to have raised two full brother sons of Shining Spark. They're both beautiful. They both have a lot of athletic ability. They both have just exactly the conformation that I'm looking for. Sue is Palomino, and the public loves the Palomino. And they talk about cloning horses, of which I am totally not in favor of. I don't believe you could ever clone a stallion and have one look any more like him than Shiner's Named Sue looks like his daddy. When they're in the pasture, I look out the window. I have to look hard to see which horse is which.
Well, I told Carol when we first started, I said, don't blink because I'm going to hit the gate fast. And we did. No, he was as good as gold tonight. He was ready. He felt so good. I just loped him around before we went, and I just went and showed him. I didn't have to speed him up, anything before I went. I just went and showed him.
Oh, it means everything to win here. And the most important thing, I mean, I just love this horse, and this horse is as much like Shining Spark as he. I hate the word, but there wouldn't be a clone be any more like Shining Spark than this horse is. You know, and Shining Spark in 1993 won the junior reining with a 227.5, and then Sue 7, and I was thrilled. Well, in last year, this year, 2010, of course, we showed him, and we bred him to a full book of mares, and we're going to continue to show him a little bit, and breed as many mares as we can, because his first colts will be here in January, and we can't wait. I'd like to thank all our team at home. My favorite motto is, at our house, it's team effort, and there's no I in the word team. And without all the people we have working for us, all this wouldn't happen. And Jay has done a fabulous job of training this horse, and I guess it was just really important for me to try to win the world with him since his daddy had won it. And the horse has been so close to titles. This is his first major title. We're so blessed to have a horse like him.
To watch Shiner Named Sue and the two other reserve champions, co-reserve champions, Shiner Named Sue again, the intermediate open derby champion, scoring a 226.5. It was like more than a dream come true for a breeder and an owner.
He's just been a fabulous horse. And this Jay said, of all I've ever won, this is the one I really want. He said he's been saying it for a long time. He said, I really want this junior cow horse this year on Sue, and he's really planned hard for it, prepared the horse so perfectly for it, and I'm thrilled.
Well, the rein work, he did his normal run fast, stop hard, turn around fast deal, and on the cow, that cow felt like it was a pretty fast cow. I didn't want to stay very long on it because you can't mark on a slow cow. So he boxed really good there at the beginning, and it's been a while. It's been since he was 3, I believe since he was 3, since he's just walked in there and worked a cow. He's usually rein work, fence work. And when we boxed the cow and left the corner, I had a feeling this was going to be aggressive, and it was aggressive the whole time. He was very good. And that cow kept heading away from him after I made my second turn, and he handled everything just perfect as could be.
I almost get tears in my eyes, especially when he runs in circles and when he stops and spins. And he spins faster than Shining Spark ever spun, but he is
he just is deja vu, Shining Spark. And tonight when the cow came out, I was really nervous because that cow never would look at him. And the cow never would look at him. I thought, oh baby, what have we got here? You know, and you just don't have a feeling for it when the cow won't look at him. But it takes a tremendous horse to work a cow when the cow won't ever look at him. And I'm just so proud of Sue and so proud of Jay. And I guess this probably means as much or more to me than any world championships that we've ever won, and we've won several. But thanks to Jay and thanks to Sue and thanks to all his Sue's fans, I'm just, I don't know what to say.
Several years ago, I purchased two Doc Alina's daughters. Their names are Doc Sue Lena and Missy Lena, and they just have been phenomenal crosses with Shining Spark. Doc Sue Lena, besides producing some great fillies, she produced a horse named Shiner's Lena Doc. Shiner's Lena Doc, in his 3-, 4-, and 5-year-old year, earned $90,000 in both reining cow horse and reining. Biggest win was reserve champion at the National Reining Breeders' Classic, and 4th that same year at the National Reining Derby in Oklahoma City with Robbie Boyce in the saddle. Shiner's Lena Doc is a outstanding individual. He's a beautiful horse, and he's a very easy horse to be around. He has a great mind, very, very athletic, and during his injury, we had to collect semen from him on the ground, which is not an easy task, and he was very cooperative. And the second time he did again the same injury a year later, and I had lots of advice to put him down, including the insurance company. And I said, no, I really believe in him, and I don't want to do that. I want to keep him for a breeding horse. We did, and he's doing his job. Shiner's Lena Doc's first foal born, was the 2009 Junior Reining World Championship at the AQHA World Show. It's his very first foal born, and we were so proud to think the first foal born could be his first world champion. And we know there'll be many more to come.
He was really good. I thought he was really, really good for me. Yeah, I know he stopped awesome. It's good to have a title for him because he's a really good horse. And his people, the owners are awesome people. I called them tonight, and he couldn't even talk. He was so choked up. So it's wonderful to win something for some great people like that, you know. So that always makes it worthwhile.
We're very excited about the 2010 3-year-old because it's the largest full crop that he's had, and we expect some winners to come from this full crop. At least we're hoping they do. Because when you go to the show pen, the judge is looking for performance. He's not looking for color. He's looking for a pretty horse that moves well, that performs well. And Shiner's Lena Doc does that.
Today, July 29th, 2010, I got the privilege to ride Shining Spark himself. I got to stop him a little, got to turn him a little, and that I know exactly where his babies get it. He is a freak.